This podcast has been put together to help schools to support children coming back into school after lockdown. Children and young people are normally seen by lots of different adults every day, but due to coronavirus, we're self-isolating, social distancing, and spending much more time at home. If a child is experiencing abuse, there aren't as many opportunities for adults to spot the signs and help. We know isolation can put some children at a greater risk of domestic abuse, neglect, physical abuse, emotional abuse, and sexual abuse. Over the next few months, we will see more and more children starting back at school, and that's where we need to be at our most vigilant. We need to think about how we're going to give children the opportunity to open up and talk about their experiences. Children will have had varied experiences of lockdown, some positive and some negative. Some children will have supportive parents, families, and communities around them to help them make sense of their experiences, but some will need additional support and a safe place to talk. You will already have some great systems in place pre-COVID-19 to support with engaging children and helping them to open up. So this is now an important time to revisit those, or you may need to consider new strategies now that we have the added challenge of social distancing. The aim is to try and create safe spaces for children to talk. Here are just a couple of ideas that you could use to help children talk about their experiences. If children don't want to open up and talk with the strategies you have, then having NSPCC posters around the school will also help to let children know that there is somewhere else that they can go and talk if they need to. Restorative practice could be similar to circle time activities that you may have done in the past. When having circle time with pupils, it's important firstly to discuss some ground rules to ensure that they feel safe. Doing something fun to start is important so they feel comfortable to share. Circles work well as everyone has a chance to talk. Holding a talking piece helps children to talk, others to listen, and gives a focus. The theme of the check-in can be varied. We tend to always start with a fun example first. For example, if you could be an animal, any animal, what would you be? You could then add in, why have you chosen that animal? Then you can move on to more detailed check-ins, specifically about their time in lockdown. Asking questions such as, what went well in isolation? What was your best memory? What was your best meal, funniest moment? Trying to stick with the positives. Also talking about developing routines. Talking to children about times of the day can prompt them to think about routines. So asking things like, what happened at breakfast time, lunchtime, evening meals, bedtime? What did the rest of the family do? How did you spend your time together? Then maybe move on to what was a challenge. What made you feel sad? What worried you about lockdown? This will depend on the group of the children, their ability to trust each other, and your knowledge of how safe it will be for this group of children to share vulnerabilities, or if the groups need splitting up to smaller groups or even at an individual level. The questions that are shown here and on the previous slide are more specific to children that are coming out of lockdown and may give you some ideas about how you might be able to support children with opening up about their time whilst being at home. It may be that you're checking on children whilst they're still at home, which can sometimes be more difficult. It may take time for them to feel comfortable talking online or over the phone to you. So that's why it's really important that you try to keep in touch with them regularly. Talking about things like, what are you watching? What are you reading? What are you playing? Or what have you had for dinner? May help them feel more comfortable. Always consider what to do if a child becomes upset or needs to leave the room. How to support them is important. Remembering the key messages from your safeguarding training, but also bearing in mind the new measures we now have in place for social distancing. Rather than physical comfort, we may now need to give more verbal reassurances to children. You could focus on new words, COVID-19, social distancing, isolating, shielding, to name but a few. The restrictions also enforce new behaviours, wearing gloves, masks, aprons, not being able to hug grandparents or friends, limiting activities, so no usual sports clubs or hobbies that they would usually do. You could talk about the impact this has had on normal life. This will help all children to think about a new normal and also think about safety. How will we behave now to keep people safe? Daily reminders of classroom rules that will incorporate staying safe is helpful. Let the child or young person's questions and their age guide as to how much information to provide. Very young children need brief, simple information and reassurance that they are safe and that the people they care about are safe. Older children may need help to separate reality from rumour and fantasy. Provide or direct them to where they can find accurate and factual information about current status of COVID-19. Having such knowledge can help them feel a sense of control. All of our children have had to adapt to new ways of learning. These have included homeschooling, working from home, and parents trying their very best to support this. Reflecting on this will help to understand the child's experience of being at home and learning. The questions here may help with the conversation. This could be done as a restorative circle or a tabletop exercise, in groups or as individuals. The important thing is to help children to talk about what it meant for them and how best to take the learning about their experiences and think about how useful that is for the future. Some children may have found it difficult to study at home for a number of reasons. It could have been a very chaotic household, there might not have been any routines, there might not have been any internet or IT equipment, they might not have had any support from parents or carers. They may have just felt so overwhelmed by it all. There may be things that come up in this discussion that require further exploration and discussion. We want you to consider what life was like for children prior COVID-19. Had you already had concerns about particular children? What were you worried about? Does this raise your concerns further? What is worrying you and how might you understand the life of the child in greater detail to understand the risks and protective factors for them? This will lead you to think about your learning from your child protection training, and if you're worried about a child, what you then should do. Children and young people may share their experiences of abuse with others. This can take place over a long period of time. It's a journey, not one act or one action. Children may disclose directly or indirectly, and sometimes they may start sharing details of abuse before they are ready to put their thoughts and feelings in order. Not all allegations will lead to a formal report of abuse or a case being made or a case being taken to court, but all allegations of abuse should be taken seriously. It takes extraordinary courage for a child to go through the journey of disclosing abuse. It's vital that anyone who works with children and young people undertaking this journey is able to provide them with the support that they need. Children and young people may not always be aware that they are making an allegation of abuse through their actions and behaviour. Younger children express themselves through play as well as words. You can learn a lot by how they're feeling by simply spending time with them and watching them play. Stressed and upset children often play fighting games with their toys. Show you care. Help them open up. Give your full attention to the child or young person and keep your body language open and encouraging. Be compassionate, be understanding, and reassure them their feelings are important. Phrases such as, "You've shown such courage today," really help them. Take your time, slow down, respect pauses, and don't interrupt the child. Let them go at their own pace. Recognise and respond to their body language, and remember that it may take several conversations for them to share what's happened to them. Show you understand, reflect back, make it clear you're interested in what the child is telling you. Reflect back what they've said to check your understanding and use their language to show it's their experience. Please remember to record any allegations of abuse that you get from a child or young person. These key points are helpful when thinking about what to record. In Shropshire, if you have a concern about the welfare of a child, you can phone the first point of contact, FPOC. They will direct your call to the most appropriate service. Before you call FPOC, it's important that you refer to the threshold document and speak to your safeguarding lead. You can also call FPOC for further guidance as to arrange a consultation with a member of the Early Help team. FPOC will offer advice and liaise with the relevant Early Help Family Hub, who may contact you for more information and will support you to complete an early help assessment and request for intervention if necessary. Compass is Children's Social Care Front Door. You can call FPOC when you have concerns about a child that you think requires children's social care intervention. FPOC will take basic details and concerns about the family and put your call through to Compass. Compass will make a decision about the child's needs and whether or not your contact is a referral to children's social care. Here are some local sources of information that you can access to support with children's mental health. I would also encourage you to look at the SEN Local Offer webpage, which will have some useful resources on transition and supporting children coming back into school. The Educational Psychology team, in collaboration with the SEN team, have recently sent out a helpful PowerPoint for schools for their SENCOs to share with the wider staff team. If you require this information, please get in touch directly with the SEN team or the Educational Psychology team. Here are some additional resources that may support you in the work that you're doing with children and young people at this time. Thank you for listening today. If you have time, please could you watch the NSPCC video clip about responding to allegations and share with your wider staff team. This will provide you with further tips on how to deal with allegations of abuse from children and young people. If you require further information about anything that you've heard today, here are my contact details.